Gabriel Paczeki, thank you so much for letting us to have this interview with you. It's an absolute honor. So what were your impressions walking through these facilities here in Felsőt today?
Yeah, I'll tell you, they're incredible. I haven't seen anything like it. It reminded me of some of the better U.S. college facilities, and the Puskás Academy here just has everything. And I shouldn't say this, but I keep thinking, how can the poor American kids compete with the Hungarian kids when they have such an incredible program here?
Yeah, it's amazing here, but as an NCAA student, I remember that in the university scholarship and in the university system, you also have fantastic facilities.
Yeah.
But talking a little bit more from the past and from your childhood, from your upbringing, if you can remember the times, you know, at your grandparents' fantastic 12-acre farm in Peekskill, where you started basically practicing not just corn picking, which was probably one of the things to get you in shape, but also basketball. So what kind of memories do you have from that time?
I loved growing up on the little farm that my grandfather really tried to rebuild what he had in Szabolcs-megyere when he was a kid. And so we all lived together and really had great Hungarian experiences in New York State. And I just loved sport. I loved running. I loved football. And I'm tall.
Yes,
you know, I'm 6'5". So early on, I really started liking basketball, and that helped me.
Yeah, but it turned out that it was very useful later on with the Dewey Ballantine Lawyers Basketball League, right? Because you won like 3 out of 4.
Yeah, we won 3 out of 4. It was highly competitive, but it was great fun, and I just always enjoyed it.
Did you have later on some relations to NBA or maybe to the professional basketball?
Well, I knew some of the owners, and I knew a bunch of the players, and I talked to some of the players and go to the games. But I enjoyed it, but it was never something I considered seriously. I spent too much time studying, so I wasn't that good.
Yes, of course. That's a different story to be a competitive athlete, and of course
it's a tremendous sacrifice.
Right. But I remember in 1992 when the Dream Team came over to the Barcelona Olympic Games. It was a huge impact on a global scale, basically, how the professional basketball sort of spread throughout the globe.
And it's fascinating to see that, how many of the NBA players today are from other countries where the basketball really wasn't serious before the Dream Team came to Europe. And it's good to see, you know, so many of these players from all over. And, you know, right now in America, the college basketball championship tournament is underway, and tens of millions of people are involved in it. And one of the teams says, I think 4 of the 5 starters are from other countries. And it's just incredible to see how it's grown around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. It has a huge impact. Just like, you know, the professional football, NFL, because I think this is something that you have a much closer relation to, right?
Yes. You know, we've worked with I know the commissioner well. We've worked with the NFL well, and we've been providing humanitarian aid in Ukraine. And one of the things we did is we got the NFL to give us a number of supplies and footballs, because they had before the war a very serious Ukrainian League of American Football. And what we're trying to do now is work with kids. Flag football, which is where you don't knock the other person down, you just pull a ribbon from their belt, is going to be an Olympic sport next year.
Right.
And the NFL has given us help to help grow it here in Hungary and in Central and Eastern Europe. And we're going to continue to try to help a number of countries, not just Hungary and Ukraine, to have their kids get involved and experience this.
Yes, because it's completely new for us, and this is going to be an Olympic sport, so it's we better to catch up in that.
Yes,
in many ways. Talking about Ukraine and the humanitarian way of approaching sports, it must be sort of a healing effect of society when you have such a big wounds during the sport.
It is, and it's also something where you can put aside the horror of war for just a few moments. Even if it's a few hours, you can do something that's fun and you enjoy. And then, of course, you go back to the reality of the war. So being able to raise morale, raise people's spirits, give them something to do where they don't have to just think about it, I think is just, from a human standpoint, a good thing to do.
absolutely. Talking about difficult times, of course, that can also come by nature or by human bad will.
Right.
You were the governor at 9/11, and we know what a great role you had in the rebuilding, basically New York, and also I think sport must have been sort of a healing force within the society, was it?
One of the interesting things is, yes, it was horrible, and I did lead the rebuilding, and I'm
right.
proud. And if any of your viewers come to New York, they should go down to Ground Zero to see what we have done there.
Yeah.
But nobody would come to New York. For weeks after the attacks, everybody was afraid there'd be another one. And then there was a baseball game. The Yankees were playing, and President Bush came and threw out the first pitch. And the impact that had, not just on baseball fans, but on New Yorkers and Americans to say, hey, it's okay. We can have a big crowd in New York City, like 2 weeks after the attack. So it was something that brought people together and allowed us to move forward.
Fantastic. Now we have a little bit of a similar situation with LA. Of course, the Los Angeles Olympic Games are coming up in
right.
3 years, but still, it was a devastating, fire horror, basically.
Right.
And everybody, especially from the Olympic movement, sort of worryingly asking whether Los Angeles will have the capacity to be rebuilt for the Olympic Games. What do you expect? They will?
Absolutely. There's no question about it. LA may not have the greatest political leadership, but people come together. Americans come together in a crisis. And I have no doubt that whatever facilities are needed, whatever support services are needed, LA will be ready for the Olympics. And it's exciting to have it again in the United States, and I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely, and for me also it's a great experience. With the previous one I had to unfortunately miss because of the socialist boycott. I wish I could be there in 1984,
yes.
but hopefully I can be there now as a journalist. So we are definitely very much interested in that LA Games. Other also interesting point that he's been sort of raising, I'm just coming from Greece, where the International Olympic Committee had its election for the successor of Thomas Bach. And now we have a two-time Olympic champion, young mother from Zimbabwe, Kirsty Coventry, which is definitely, I would say, a new shape of the IOC. What do you think of that?
I think it's always a good thing when you open things up to non-traditional people to be able to advance to the highest levels, so long as they're capable. Right. You don't want to do it simply to do it. You want to do it because there is a person who's extremely well qualified. Right. And from everything I've read, she appears to be extremely well qualified. As you said, she's been in the Olympics. She's won medals. So hopefully she'll do a tremendous job.
She's a sports minister of her country, so she also has a leadership experience in that sense.
That's right. And so hopefully she'll do a great job.
And would that leadership experience be enough? Because that's the other thing people are also sort of worried about, to be able to negotiate with the Trump administration when they have to, because obviously as we are approaching the Olympics, it's going to be a must to talk between IOC and of course the American government.
Yeah, I'm sure that can be done. President Trump loves sports. He goes to all sorts of sporting events. He owned an American football team, and I haven't talked to him about the Olympics, but I'm sure it's something where he wants the United States to put out a strong welcome and a great games for the world to see America. So I'm hopeful that will work out well.
Yeah, you said it's important to have the capacity and the capability to change, and now we have a female leader. It's also important from our perspective, from one who would like to defend the female sports and female category within sports, that what do you think of the defending of the females' right in competitive sports as opposed to transgender participants in female category?
It was terrible to me that a young girl or woman could spend her life being the best at her sport, and then all of a sudden at the last minute, a biological male decides to compete with a woman and wins. And it was just totally unfair. And I think getting rid of that is something that was very, very important. It's overwhelmingly supported by the American people, and it was the right thing to do so that now women will be able to compete against other women on a fair playing field, as opposed to essentially being cheated out of the reward for their hard work because a biological male would jump into the to the games.
It's not just a self-definition. That's just a question of self-definition.
I mean, I would have been a star in the women's basketball league.
That's for sure. And with your height.
Yes, with my height, but it wouldn't be fair, and it's not
absolutely.
right.
Absolutely, and fair competition is the basis of the Olympic movement and basically all competitive sports, which is very, very important. One more thing, you know, we will have the Football World Cup just coming up next year basically in the North American continent, right? In Mexico, in the United States, and of course in Canada. And the previous one was just 1 year before you became the governor of New York. So what do you think American people, will they be a little bit more fired up for European soccer or soccer itself?
Yes, I think they will. I think the national competitions at the global level always create excitement. And this is something where, since it's going to be largely in the United States, it will get great attention by the media and the public. And I think there is a growing support and interest in, we call it soccer, in the United States. And I think this will be a tremendous boost. I just hope the Americans are in it and do well, and that would make it better.
As basically one of the organizers' country, they will participate.
Yeah, they're automatically allowed.
Because you saw the Hungarian national team just the other day. So what do you think? Will they make it after 4 decades of not being there?
I hope so. It would be a great thing if they did. I know my whole family would be excited, and particularly in the United States, we'd go see the Hungarians,
of course,
wherever they were playing.
And can you
Hajrá Magyar.
Hajrá Magyar. Love that. Can you picture a situation when maybe because we don't know how the drawing will be. So can you picture a situation when the American national team and the Hungarian national team maybe plays against each other?
Yeah, it could happen.
Who would you cheer for?
I love Hungary, but I'm an American.
Okay.
I'd root for the Americans.
Yeah, that's for sure. But Hajrá Magyarok, as you said, right?
Magyar.
All right. Yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Governor. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. I enjoyed it very much.
Thank you. Thank you.